Expect. We begin with Matt Schlapp, chairman of the American Conservative Union. He also served as political director in the George W. Bush White House. When we talked a short time ago, I began by asking what Mike Pence needs to accomplish tonight.
You know, I think his job, his primary job, is to connect with that heart and soul of the Republican Party, and that's its conservative base. And that conservative base is trying to get to know this guy, Donald Trump, and be comfortable with him. And it's Mike Pence's #1 priority to connect to them, to close the deal with them, bring back those conservatives and Republicans who are still thinking about who they're going to vote for on Election Day.
I have heard more analogies having to do with Mike Pence's role in this debate tonight, from cleanup to Swiffer to none of them complimentary, all of them about Mike Pence having to defend Donald Trump. Is that his principal role here tonight?
Yeah, well, all vice presidents have to be the #1 cheerleader for the top of the ticket, but I actually don't think that's what this debate is going to be about tonight. I think actually what we're going to have tonight is a very conservative public servant against a very liberal public servant. And in our own ratings, Mike Pence has a 99% and Tim Kaine has a 0%. So we might have a very solid ideological conversation of what it means to be a conservative and what it means to be a liberal, and why one philosophy is the right philosophy in 2016.
Matt Schlapp, one of the big differences between the two candidates tonight, for instance, on taxes, is that Donald Trump will not release his income tax statements, but Mike Pence already has. How does he explain that?
Yeah, I think that's going to be one of Kaine's strategies to try to put Mike Pence on the defense. And I'm sure Mike Pence, who I know well, and I'm sure he's very ready for this moment, is going to be ready to also put Tim Kaine on the defense for the fact that Hillary Clinton has been involved in scandal after scandal after scandal, and it's one of the reasons why the American voters, you know, in all the polls show that they don't find her honest or trustworthy. It's her #1 problem that she's got to find a way to mend between now and Election Day.
I think it's fair to say that Mike Pence and Donald Trump come from opposite ends of the personality spectrum. Do you think that their differences help or hurt the Trump-Pence candidacy?
I think the differences make for a good team. Mike Pence is a kind of a steady Midwesterner who comes from kind of the base of he's an ideological firebrand. He understands the conservative philosophy well. And Donald Trump is a complete outsider, is a relatively new Republican, and he doesn't even talk like politicians. He talks like a New York businessman. But together, I actually think Trump is reaching out to these blue-collar, working-class Americans across the country like the Republican Party has never been able to do before. We've always had trouble with that bloc, and I think Mike Pence is able to reach out to those steady conservatives, those lifelong Republicans, and say, look, take a chance with this guy because together we're going to make a great team for the country.
Taking a chance. Here's one of the things about vice presidential debates, and it's that people often expect a vice presidential candidate to do fine as long as he or she does not make a mistake. Is it a good night for Mike Pence if he simply gets away without making a mistake?
I think so. I think for both of them, I don't think either one of them has to worry too much about. I mean, they're going to make a mistake when you've been there, you've seen it. They're going to make small mistakes. I don't see either one of them making a big, huge gaffe. They're pretty steady political pros. And I also think if Tim Kaine's #1 job is to help Hillary Clinton be a little more likable and smile and be charming and be herself, it's a pretty low bar for someone to have to pass. And I think for Mike Pence, his job is to once again hit those themes which he lives and understands and passionately believes in.
Matt Schlapp.